Yes, welcome viewer. Now we are looking at the law of magnetism. The law of magnetism. The law of magnetism states that like poles repel and unlike poles attract. So the law of magnetism states that like poles repel and unlike poles attract. Before this law was stated, there was an experiment which was carried out. So for that matter, we are going to look at an experiment to verify, to prove the law of magnetism. So our heading will be an experiment to verify the law of magnetism. Before a law is stated, there is an experiment which is carried out to prove that the law is correct. Now, for you to do this experiment, you need to have two magnets and you need to have what we call a retort stand. So we are going to have our retort stand here, and then we suspend a magnet. So we shall have north and south. So we have our magnet. So there is a string here or a thread. So this magnet is suspended. So we are right to call this magnet a suspended magnet. Now we are going to bring another magnet close to this one. Supposing we bring the north pole of this magnet near the north pole of the suspended magnet. This is the north, this is the south. What happens? After this experiment, we now do another experiment. We shall still have our magnet here being suspended. And then we use the same magnet. We bring it close to. Remember, this suspended magnet here was north, the way it is here. And then this is what? South. Now we are going to change. Here it was north. Now here we are going to make it what? South. And then this will be north. So in brief, what are we going to do? You get a magnet and suspend it on a retort stand. So you suspend it on a retort stand using a string. Then you bring the north pole of another magnet near the north pole of a suspended magnet. What are we going to see here? North and north, they are going to what? To repel. Repelling means this one will move away, the other one also moves away. So here we are going to have the two magnets repelling. So we have here repulsion. Repulsion occurs. What about here? This side, the north near the south. Here we expect them to do what? To attract each other. You see? These ones will move towards the other one also moves towards. So this here we are going to have what? Attraction. Attraction occurs. So This is what we call a workable diagram. Remember what I told you, that the first thing when you are describing an experiment, one, you should have a workable diagram. Workable here means very accurate and properly named. So here you will get the marks for the workable diagram. The next thing is you must explain. You see? Explain what you mean by this diagram. So we are going to explain. How do we explain? We shall now explain by saying the first thing is a magnet is suspended on a retort stand. How do you suspend it? Using a thread or a string. You see, that is the first thing in this diagram. Then what else after suspending? You bring the north pole of another magnet near the north pole of the suspended magnet. So that is our next statement. So we shall say the north pole of another magnet is brought near the north pole of a suspended magnet. Now what happens? You will tell us. When you do this, what happens? Repulsion occurs. Repulsion occurs. That is the first diagram. Then now you move on to the second diagram, where now you have the south pole being brought near the north pole. So you put in words. So the next one is the south pole of the magnet is then brought near the north pole of a suspended magnet. See, that is now the second diagram, this one. The south pole of another magnet is brought near the north pole of the suspended magnet. Let us give these magnets names. This one, we say it is called the suspended magnet. This is suspended magnet. Yes. Then this one is another magnet, the second one. That is another magnet. This is another magnet. So, what happens when you bring the south pole of the magnet near the north pole of another magnet? Here we shall say attraction occurs. So you have already given us a workable diagram and you have explained. And in your explanation, you have even given what? Observation. What are the observations? Attraction occurs. And then repulsion occurs. Those are observations. Then here, the first statement, you can get some marks. The second one, you will also get some marks. You see, you also get some marks. Then for the observations, repulsion occurs, attraction occurs, you can also get some marks. Then this procedure, you can also get some marks where the south pole of a magnet is brought near the north pole of a suspended magnet. So you can see you're already gathering your marks. Now, what are you left with? The last thing which you are left with is conclusion. Conclusion. Now, conclusion. So how do you conclude? Now, your conclusion is based on the observations. So we are going to conclude. We shall not again write observation, heading observation, because the observations are already here. Attraction occurs, and then repulsion occurs. So we just conclude. And how do we conclude? We shall conclude by saying, like poles of a magnet repel and unlike poles attract. And you get your marks for like poles repelling and unlike poles attracting. So at the end of the day, this is how your answer sheet looks like. As brief as that, and yet it has all that the examiner needs. So you have the workable diagram, which is here. You have the workable diagram. You have explained very well. You have given us observations and conclusion. And that marks the end of that question. It is the end of that question. And I'm sure if you answer it like this, you will have gathered all your marks. All your marks. Thank you. Let us have a short commercial break, and then we get back.